Ooh, welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. It's a big day. I turn 55 years old today. Very shocking to me that I'm that old, but guess what, everyone? You're all going to be there one day, and some of you have passed it. Anyway, great show lined up. Steve Merrill joining us. He's going to talk Mariners and Yankees, Diamondbacks and Dodgers. Ross Benjamin, due to popular demand, he's on the show. He's going to take apart the NBA game tonight, Mavs and T-Wolves. He's also going to look at the Pirates and the Giants. And while I can't have a birthday show without one of my best friends on the planet, Carmine Bianco, he's going to look at the NHL game plus a Europa League final game. That covers pretty much all sports that are going on today in North America. I'm Lawrence Presman. Teddy Covers is my co-host. Yes, I'm pumped. Had a winning night last night. Have a big night tonight. Teddy, what is your big game breakdown?
Big game breakdown. Well, we're calling it a big game breakdown. I'm not sure it's a big game. That being said, I have a betting opinion for the Rockies and A's today that I'll share with you before this show is through. And we'll also talk about MLB suspended games and what bettors learned. My 5% big ticket last night has been suspended and starts re-ups again in 12 minutes. So if I'm a little distracted during the show, there's a good reason.
Well, fair enough, brother. I wish you nothing but the best of luck for your 5% play. It goes in 12 minutes. Is it still up for sale?
No, it went yesterday and got suspended last night, and now they're resuming the game.
Resuming.
Yeah.
That sucks, exactly. Man. That sucks.
It sucks. Dude, I can't sleep when I have a big play and I don't know if it wins or loses. You know, I just can't. You want that closure before you go to bed. I couldn't sleep last night, dude. I'm exhausted today.
Yeah.
Just waiting for this stupid game to go 9:50.
Well, how's it going so far?
Deals. It's 1-1. If either team had been winning, the game would be over. Oh. Instead, it's 1-1. They would have called it because of the rain.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in What Bettors Learn.
Well, kick ass. Guys, I'm going to mention this a few times because I know you all love money. I have a big NBA play going tonight, a 4%. I won my NBA last night. I'm now on a 14-1 NBA run, number one in the playoffs at WagerTalk, and I'm also on a 17-2 4% run. If there's ever a time to buy me, it is today, and I have a birthday promo up. No coupon code required. I'm 55 years old. It's $55 for 7 days, all access. My play's tonight, $29. You're crazy to buy it and not get that $55 package. And yes, Teddy, ad nauseum, I'll be discussing it again. Steve Merrill. Oh, it is. Oh, there is a code. I didn't even see that damn code. What is the code? Prez 55. B-Day 55. B-Day 55, 7 days, $55. Steve Merrill joining us. Steven, how are you, my friend? Oh, wait. Yes, let's have a moment. Okay. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. At least you didn't put on like Livy Dunn or Sydney Sweeney and make me feel like a pervert. Oh, Sydney Sweeney. She's in her late 20s. That's acceptable. Steve, you need a microphone.
Excuse me?
There we go.
There you go.
Welcome to my birthday show, Steve.
The mic was working the whole time. You just couldn't hear it because you were talking over the mic. But look, what Dan should have done there was put a lady with a walker, a 90-year-old lady with a walker creeping across the screen would have been fantastic. Oh, God.
For example.
He puts it over me. It's pretty damn good.
Lawrence didn't even see because he's typing something.
I did see.
Pay
anyway,
attention to the show, Lawrence.
Shut up, Teddy. Mariners at Yankees, Steve Merrill. How do we bet this game?
I'll be damned if you print my stand-up comedy. First of all, glasses since you can't read your promo code for your birthday gift. Teddy, you had me nervous when you said suspended. I thought we were talking about Isaac for a fourth time this month, so I'm glad it was the Orioles and Cardinals game instead. And Prez, I saved these for you, man. They're from my 50th. Thought you might find these useful here. They're a little deflated, but you can make them probably say 60 if you really wanted some birthday balloons, so we're
so
good to go.
Thoughtful, Steve. So thoughtful.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that you
I'm
got
taking
aluminum out of your
over
drawer
50
and turned it into nothing. Okay, Mariners and Yankees. Fill us in, bro.
Yeah, so interesting game to talk about. Seattle's obviously not a very good offensive team at home, but they have been better offensively on the road over several years, and that's the case once again this season. They're averaging 4.2 on the road, barely over 3.5 at home. They're batting almost 15 to 20 points higher in the batting average. So something I want to point out because they are a better offensive team, but the Yankees are still the better team in this game, the better bullpen, better starting pitcher. And I think it's a very focused spot for New York as well. Seattle got the 2 games the last couple nights. And once again, that offense is better on the road. They had 11 runs, 17 hits. But I look for the Yankees to bounce back here. Before last night's loss, the Yankees had been in excellent current form. In fact, they put up 17 runs, and they'd done it on 31 hits. So, yes, a little bit of an off performance yesterday against Wu, but I think they bounce back here. Also, my pitcher projections favor the Yankees starters as well. I look for Seattle's lineup has hit only 9 for 41, 220 against Cortez during his career. And the Mariners start Bryce Miller, who projects to have an ERA of almost 5 in this game against the Yankees lineup. Nice setup, nice bounce back for one of the best teams in baseball off back-to-back losses. Take a look at the New York Yankees tonight at 7 Eastern, and I would lay them minus 150.
So, Seattle does have an 8-4 record in 12 previous games this year against Southpaw starters, but I want to ask you about how good the Yankees really are. Okay, they have the best record in the American League right now, the second best record in all of baseball. Only the Phillies have a better record. And yet, when you look closely at what they've done this year, they've dominated their games against the very weak AL Central Division, 11-1 in those games. And the rest of their games, they're 6 games over 500? Pretty good, but not necessarily elite. How good do you think this Yankees team is? Are they going to go to the World Series? Are they the best team in the AL East? Are they the team to beat? Or are the Yankees more of a team that, today's the spot to back them, but in general, they're a little bit of an overvalued commodity and not perhaps as good as the betting markets might indicate? Talk about your thoughts on the Yankees right here.
Yeah, real quick about the lefty thing, by the way. I like to look at all left-handed stats. So lefty, starters isn't the full game, but against games in which lefties have started, Mariners have been averaging just 3.7, batting just 219, which is actually weaker than their overall numbers. So I think that's maybe just some random variance on those 12 games. But as far as the AL East, I think the Orioles and Yankees are by far the premier teams in that division. The Orioles are 16-6 against winning teams. The Yankees, as you mentioned, Teddy, just 12-9 against winning teams. That makes them 21-8 against losing teams. So that is a concern. It's also a concern that the Yankees for several years now have kind of lived and died by the long ball. Teams like the Celtics, we see what happens to the Boston Celtics, the best team in the NBA, live and die by the 3. You have some random variants. The Orioles, though, have the most home runs in baseball, so it's not like they don't strike out a lot, hit home runs as well. But I still think that Baltimore Oriole team probably is a little more solid from top to bottom. The experience factor may be a concern with the Orioles, but once again, they've been good now for several seasons. I think that's less of a concern. And another thing about the Yankees, we talked about the righty-lefty splits. And once again, this is against starters only. So it's not the full game. It's about half a game. But the Yankees are 27-11 this year against right-handed starters, 6-6 against lefties, whereas the Orioles are 17-12 and 12-4 against lefties. So the Orioles have also been more balanced. So I'd say Yankees are a wild card team. Orioles are probably the team to beat in that division.
Steve Merrill joining us, everyone. Steve, let's turn our attention to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're playing the San Francisco Giants. Both teams have won 4 of their last 5 games. Pittsburgh minus 120 to 125. This game goes at 6:40 Eastern time. I screwed that up. It's the Diamondbacks and Dodgers. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a blind man. I went to the eye doctor yesterday too, Teddy. So, I'm a blind man, bro. Okay. Diamondbacks and Dodgers, Steve. Let's turn our attention to that game. Glasnow versus Nelson, minus 280, an over and under of 8. How do we bet a minus 280? Are we going to the total, the money line, first 5, the point spread, first 5? How do we attack this game?
Yeah, I don't like laying 280, 290, obviously, in baseball. But this has been a long-term theme. You and I have talked about this a lot, Prez, on the show for several years now. If you play Dodger games in general, you get the Dodgers down to -1.5, 1.5 run line because they usually win by margin, or you take the other team as a big dog. And that continues to work for the majority of the times. It makes you more money doing that. And it's been the case so far in this series. Arizona over a $2 dog in game one on Monday, and they win. They lose that game, and the Dodgers win by 2. Last night, Arizona was a $1.50 dog, and they win outright 7-3. So you're a perfect 2-0 in this series with Dodgers run line or Arizona plus the money straight up. I do lean Dodgers in this game, so Dodgers run line -1.5 would be the preferred option of those two. Let's look at a team total, though. Dodgers currently 4.5 in this game. And for a -280, -290 favorite, I think that's a pretty reasonable price because they got to get to 5, and most of the time they should. So I like Dodger team total here over 4.5. I know, Teddy, they've been a little inconsistent offensively, and I get that. In fact, they've had single-digit hits now in 7 straight games, but they've still won 4 of those last 5. They've gotten to 5 runs or more in 2 of those last 5, so that is a concern here. But with this pitching matchup here, being Arizona is weak bullpen for the most part, Arizona's bullpen is pretty weak, below average, and I think the Dodgers can get to the starter tonight as well. And this is a bullpen game, basically, for Arizona once again with Merrill on the mound. They did this actually against the Dodgers 2 days ago. He started and went 1 inning. And the reason they're doing this, we talked about this on the baseball show. I believe Brian Leonard's who pointed it out. It was an excellent point. They want to have the lefty start to get through the top of that lineup, I guess, with Ohtani, batting lefty. And then they're going to bring the bullpen in. So that's fine. They can do that again. It didn't work too well for them on Monday night when the Dodgers got 6 runs in the win. I think it doesn't work well for them again today on Wednesday.
I'm seeing Nelson as the starter for Arizona. Nelson's got a good track record against LA. Shut him down a couple of times last year. Is this a scenario where you're going to list pitchers, or that doesn't matter who Arizona puts on the hill here? Because, Glasnow's coming off a rough showing last time out, and Nelson's got a good track record against this team. Do either of those two factors concern you here?
Yeah, you're right. I did see Nelson as well.
Matter.
Yeah, well, it's an excellent point because that's what I was going to mention as well. A lot of the key to this play also is Glasnow. I like the fact that he's coming off a bad outing, and that's a real key to this handicap here for the Dodgers in general. I'm seeing Nelson on the WagerTalk live odds screen. I saw Manaply yet last night on some overnights, but I do think it's going to be Nelson. But either way, I think it's going to be more of a bullpen game, and the D-backs very mediocre pitching staff. But I'm glad you brought up Glasnow because this is a guy who has pitched extremely well this season. In fact, he'd given up 1 run or less in 4, or 2 runs or less in 4 straight games, and then had that loss against Cincinnati last week, gave up 4 earned runs. Only 2 other times this year, he's given up 3 and 6 earned runs. He's bounced back with 7-inning and 8-inning shutouts the next 2 games. So the 2 other bad outings, he's gone 15 innings, no runs the next 2 times out. So this is a great bounce back spot for Glasnow. That's another reason, Teddy, I prefer the team total over for the Dodgers instead of the game over 8. Because I do think Glasnow has a good outing this evening.
Steve Merrill. Steve, you did a video today. It's up at WagerTalk. Tell us about that and the promo that you have inside of it.
Yeah, President, normally I do one of the NBA games here and do one baseball. I threw in that second game, that Dodger game, just because I wanted to do a couple baseball games. I figured there was no sense doing the NBA playoffs here. Ross Benjamin's on later. He's doing a great job with daily videos as well. He's going to break down game 1 tonight between the Mavs and the T-Wolves. But I'm also going to be on the NBA tip-off show live at 4:15 Eastern. Joe Ranieri and I'll be taking live viewer questions, complete breakdown of Game 1. I'm doing the baseball show at 2 Eastern with Dan Alexander, more baseball questions from the live chat. But, of course, I'm doing a daily NBA playoff video every game, every day of this postseason. I will continue to do so. So if you're looking for a deep 20-minute analysis of side, total, series, player props for T-Wolves Mavericks tonight, it's in that video, and it's a really important video to watch because these teams played 4 times this season, and all 4 games were December, January before the trade on February 8th that brought in 2 key starters that have really turned the Mavericks around. So I talk a lot about that as well and give you some numbers to work with. So check out that video. It's free right here on WagerTalk TV, my daily NBA playoff video. Yet another reason to hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts. Yep. And if you want my official best bets for baseball and basketball tonight, get them on my page, SteveMerrillWagerTalk.com. Daily free baseball play as well. And also a special promo, get the rest of May free when you buy June. Buy June All Sports, you get the rest of May free. That's over next week free Works out to less than $6 a day, less than $3 a play. For every best bet, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Thanks for joining us, Steve. Kick ass today. Keep doing Teddy. Steve's like, you and Steve, two hardest working guys at Wager Talk. Okay, before we get into what did bettors learn, couple of quick things. First and foremost, I just made, in the last 5 minutes, 2 sales for my plays tonight, and neither of them were the $55. One gentleman, John, bought the All Access, the daily All Access pass for my 4-pack tonight. He paid $39. Guys, today only, you get 7 days of all my plays for $55. You use the promo code BDAVE55. Why would anybody buy today's package for $40 when for $15 more you get 7 days? And I am up huge profit since the start of the year. I'm up profit in NHL. I'm up profit in NBA. My NBA playoffs, I'm up 43 units of profit. I'm up profit the last 30 days. I had a winning night last night. Don't buy the daily package. Does she stay on? Like, if I just keep talking, will she remain on? Because I could do this till the end of the show. Teddy covers. The other thing real quick is one of our listeners wanted to know what I thought of the Neil Young concert because he's coming to their town and should he go. At 100 miles an hour, the Neil Young concert was a disaster from my perspective. I went with about 30 friends. A lot of them really loved the show. I hated the show. And that's a big, strong word. I've seen Neil Young 8 times. 7 of those concerts were incredible. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. The show last night, 2 nights ago, was a disaster. 4 80-year-old guys standing in the corner playing guitar. Half of the time, they didn't even turn around and look at the audience. There was no light show. They didn't even use the screens. So unless you're in the front of the stands, you don't even get to see anything. The sound was shitty. It was probably the worst show I've ever seen in my life. Okay, Theodore, what did bettors learn?
So it was the opposite of the dead shows that you saw this last weekend.
But it also gives you an understanding that I'm not all hyperbole. Like,
sure.
It's not always great.
You're not all hyperbole. It's not a bad concert. It's the worst concert I've ever seen. You're right.
Ever.
Lawrence.
I don't think I've ever seen a worse concert. I took my children to it.
Though.
Dude, shut up. I took my children to it, and I'm like, oh my God, you're going to see a legend. It's going to be amazing. My kids were like, oh my God, is it over, Dad? Can we leave early? Anyway, what a freaking mess. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Neil Young hates people. He thinks we all screwed up the planet, and he basically charged us money and gave us a big FU. Okay, what did bettors learn?
Yeah, so you had a fun night with that. I had just as much fun. Not. What a stupid night last night. I leaned over, Celtics team total over. I talked about it on the show yesterday. Did I pull the trigger for my clients? I did not. And of course, the overcash Celtics team total got lucky to catch a 3 at the buzzer at the end of regulation, but it got there. You like those when you actually pull the trigger instead of saying, yeah, talk about it, and then you don't actually do it. So instead, I had the Rockies, who had a blown save loss to the A's. That was a whole lot of fun. And then my first 5% of the season in MLB, the Orioles, minus 140 against the Cardinals. My number was minus 180. All right. And when I see a 40-cent difference between my number and the market number, I'm going to fire. It got bad up. There were minus 150s, minus 160. And I was at least half wrong with the handicap. Lance Lynn, I thought, would get lit up. And Lance Lynn had his best start in more than a month. That being said, I was at least half right because Kyle Bradish shut down St. Louis. Those didn't take advantage of a couple of scoring chances. It's tied 1-1 in the 6th. And then the rain comes. And then tornado warnings, the works. First it's delayed, then it's suspended. So what does that mean? Well, it's the classic. It varies by book. There's no universal rule when it comes to suspended games in MLB. It's one book can set this set of rules, one book sets another. For example, DraftKings, BetMGM, FanDuel say the suspended game has to be resumed within 36 hours. Barstool, it's got to be resumed within 12 hours. PointsBet and BetUSA, it's got to be resumed by midnight local time the same day. So it varies by book. And at WagerTalk, we're going to follow the book's general rule. So the answer is, it depends. I'm still in action with this big bet on the O's today. Some of you are joining me with the sweat, some are not. But obviously, when all the books have different rules for this one thing, and it's not often that you see different rules at different books for one thing, but this particular tied game suspended, more than 5 innings have been played. Well, that's one of those deals where you just, on the rare instances where it happens, you just got to deal with it. So go Baltimore. We'll root for them hard right about now. Lawrence?
Go Baltimore. Lots of people in the chat room are wishing me a happy birthday. And I just want to say, and I know some of you guys, like, I know I'm polarizing. I understand a lot of people love me and a very few amount of people hate me, but the hate is very heavy. With that said, this show, 12 o'clock Eastern every day, is the best part of my day every single day. Logging in and seeing all you guys. Screw you, Teddy. You're the balance that makes this show not the greatest moment of my life. But all of you guys, Steve and Eric, Just Jeff, FB, Waj, I basically get to hang out with you guys every single day. And it is so oh, yes. It is so meaningful to me. It really means the world that you guys take time out of your day to join Teddy and I on this show, seeing the same names, chatting in the chat room. It's the best part of my day every single day. So thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it. Teddy, I put Ross Benjamin on this show because, well, frankly, at 55, I want to feel young. Ross, how are you, my friend?
Man, I hope they don't do a promo for my birthday, Prez, because you'll have a field day with that.
Ross Benjamin, use the promo code ROSS94.
Yeah, Neil Young, my favorite band of all time, Leonard Skinner. There's a reason why the great songwriter of Leonard Skinner and the original singer of Leonard Skinner, Ronnie Van Zant, wrote a pretty disrespectful, in Sweet Home Alabama about Neil Young. So I thought I had to bring that up because you brought Neil Young up.
Yeah, listen, I'm a monster Neil Young fan, Ross. Absolutely monster fan. But the show just didn't do it for me at all. Like, at all. Anyway, my friend, listen, I just want to get it out there that for 94, you look exquisite. Guys, if you like the show, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. It's really appreciated. Let's get right into the NBA tonight. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. The Mavs versus the T-Wolves. I'm curious how many people had that matchup for this conference final. You like the first half total under 107. Tell us why.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot of people wouldn't have predicted these two teams in the Western Conference Final. I think that's more of a shock that they're both there as opposed to maybe Dallas or Minnesota being there, because I think a lot of people would have either or as a good chance to get to the Western Conference Final, as loaded as the West was. But having said that, yes, why do I like the under 107 in the first half? It's actually down to 106.5 the last time I checked, folks. So just to be transparent, you look at this game total of 206.5, and very odd to see a first half total not only exceed 50% of what the game total is, but pretty much almost 3-point differential in that regard. And my pick goes against my conventional thinking, where I like to think like an odds maker. In this case, if it's 106.5 in the first half and it's 206.5 for the game, then I should go over the total because they're trying to tell me something here. But you know what? The data is so overwhelming the other way, I can't ignore it. And I'm going to have to go against conventional thinking here that I normally have. So Minnesota, 6 of their last 7 games have gone under the first half total. Those average totals in the first half in their last 7 games, 103.7, 96.3 points scored per game in the first half of their last 7 contests. Minnesota's attributed those low-scoring first halves when considering the fact that they scored 49 or less in the first half of 6 of their last 8 games. So they haven't exactly been a fast-starting team. Minnesota comes off a Game 7, 98-90 win at Denver. This year, 10 games at home in this situation this year where they held an opponent to 95 or less in the 95 or less in the previous game. And 9 of those 10 games have gone under the first half total at home when that occurs. Dallas hasn't exactly lit it up offensively in the first half as well during the postseason. 54 points or fewer in 10 of their 12 playoff games in the first half. 8 of the 12 have gone under the first half total. Also 4-1 to the under in their last 5 against the first half total. Head-to-head series, 6 times they've met in Minnesota over the last 3 seasons. 5 of the 6 have gone under the first half total. I just think it's, these teams, Minnesota, obviously best statistically the best defensive team in all the NBA. Dallas, if you look at over the last quarter of the season, Teddy, have played not only under the total, but they've played extremely good defense, and you can make a case for them. They're the most improved defensive team in the NBA over that course of time. So I think we're going to see a feeling out process here in Game 1 of this Western Conference Final, and there's nothing that leads me to believe that all the data I just mentioned to you, anything's going to be different. I just think it's going to be a low-scoring first half, and I'm going to go under the total of 106.5 in the first half, Teddy.
So you talked about how it's fairly unique, where the first half total is normally less than half of the full game total. What they're about 6 points, 8 points, somewhere in that range between the first half. If you double the first halves, you're still normally in that range short of the total. In this instance, and it's not just for Dallas, Minnesota. It's also for Indiana, Boston, Game 2, where the first half total 115.5 there, full game total 224.5. So in both instances, we're seeing a flip of what we usually see in the NBA markets, where the first half total higher than the second half total and doubled higher than the full game total. Do you know why? Why are the markets pricing it so differently here?
Why? I think it's just some of it has to do with public perception. If you look at the splits in this game in terms of betting trends, Teddy, as I know you look at like I do, what I'm seeing is the volume of money, volume of tickets, and the money being bet on this game really is lopsided in favor of the over. So part of that has to do with it. I think the back number is or the total back number. I'm showing my age, Prez. The total is a pretty, in my opinion, an honest line. And I think that they're accounting for some of the over bettors because we know that some people are impulsive and can't wait 2.5 hours for a result. So if they like the over, they're going to take the over in the first half. That's part of the reason why I would answer that question the way I do. Do I know that to be fact? No, it's just my educated opinion. Secondly, when I look at game ones of a series and a team is coming off a game 7, similar to what we saw with Indiana last night, my database shows since going back to 2003, the team's coming off a game 7 and they're playing a game 1, they go over the total. More times than not. So again, I just think the 106.5 is there's value there. And Teddy, I hate it's almost like it's one of those uncomfortable plays for me because it goes against the way I like to think, which is like an odds maker.
Oh, I got something caught in my
Just
throat.
worth noting that last night, Indiana, Boston, what they have? It was tied at 64 at the half. Second half, they tied 53-53. So second half, much low scoring, lower than the first half. It's a good point.
I did not have the data that's I did not have any sort of data. Look, if you're trying to find data that supports the under in any Indiana game, whether it be halftime or the total game, good luck with that. So it's a totally different scenario for me, Teddy, because I did have the Boston Celtics total over their team total last night as a free pick last night on WagerTalk TV. Nice. And again, like you mentioned, I needed that they needed 22 points in the fourth quarter, and I had to sweat out to the last 8 seconds when Brown made that three. So,
well, you know who didn't have a sweat, Ross? This guy. I had the over 52.5 first half for Indiana again for the 300th time in a row these playoffs. Easy cash. Ross Benjamin, one more play, no follow-up question. Let's keep it really short. Pirates versus Giants.
Well, the Giants blew a 6-2 lead in the bottom of the ninth last night at Pittsburgh, lost the game 7-6 in 10 innings. Very difficult for teams to respond to that the following day, and I think that will take a little bit of effect here in the outcome of this game. This is a San Francisco team that's night and day, 13-7 during the day and 10-19 at night. No pun intended there. 3-8 in their last 11 on the road, 8-16 on the road overall, 0-8 in their last 8 as a road underdog of plus 110 or greater. Blake Snell gets a start tonight, first since April the 19th, and his first 3 starts of the season, his only starts, I should say, 11.57 ERA, 197 WHIP, less than 4 innings pitched per start. The Pirates have won 4 of their last 5. I really like this kid, Jared Jones, on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates. 9 starts at 2.89 ERA at 0.91 WHIP, 9-1 strikeout to walk ratio, 4 at home, even better numbers at home. And the Pittsburgh bullpen over their last 7 games has shown much improvement with a 3.10 ERA and 1.13 WHIP as a staff. I'm going to take Pittsburgh here, minus 120 on the money line over the San Francisco Giants.
Ross Benjamin. Ross, you promoted on Monday. Everybody knows that you're killing it in sports right now, in all sports, in baseball, in NBA. You can find Ross Benjamin over at Sports Memo. We have to move on. I'm greatly appreciative that you are here with us. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you for having me again.
Always. Teddy, your big game breakdown coming up. Just want to quickly make mention. I am in play tonight on the NHL game. I will give it out for free when we get to 100 likes. 208 of you watching, 211, 70 likes, 30 to go, and I'll give you my NHL client play on the house. Theodore, your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown is something of a misnomer today because this is not a big game. Nonetheless, it is a game where I have a bettable opinion for you. Let's talk about the Colorado Rockies and the Oakland A's. And we're going to look at a first 5 wager in this ballgame. I want to take the Rockies bullpen out of the equation. That bullpen a disaster. They blew the game again last night. This is a first 5 bet looking at Colorado. Look, the A's don't have a whole lot of business as favorites. Yes, I know they rallied from behind against the Rockies bullpen last night to win 5-4. The 5 runs was the most runs they've scored in any game in their last, I think, 9. They scored a grand total of 22 runs during that entire 9-game span. So it's not like this lineup can be trusted to hit. Colorado, they were red hot. They won 7 straight. They ran into the red hot Giants last week. And okay, they blew a save last night. But for as bad as the Rockies are, let's look at a notch or 2 ahead of Oakland, certainly in terms of the lineup. And Austin Gomber, he has 3 starts in May, all right? This is a hurler, and just like Quantrill yesterday for Colorado, a pitcher the markets hate. Markets hate Gomber. 3 starts in May, 18.1 innings of work, 1 earned run allowed. The Rockies are awful. They went 2-1 in those 3 games. The only loss came in a 1-0 shutout. I don't think Mitch Spence is pitching a shutout today. So Rockies bullpen's a disaster. Let's take him out of the equation. First five, Colorado. Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. You shop around, you can find plus 115, plus 10, widely available. Rockies to win the early game in Oakland. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. Let's bring Carmine Bianco straight in. Carmunchki. How was your trip, dude? Well,
He's not there
the
yet.
segue did not go well, Teddy. Dan was not on the ball. Maybe you could put up the dancing girl again while we wait to bring on Carm.
No. I want the old lady giving you a cake. That's the
Listen,
one that
dude, who doesn't want a cake from an old lady, right? Lots of birthday wishes still coming in. Daryl Turner, thanks, brother. And yeah, probably have allergies, Abid. Thank you, my friend. Carm!
Happy
What
birthday. All's good, man. 55, dude. That's an accomplishment. That's like your front nine when you golf. Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, it's my front seven, actually, Carm. You know, it's funny.
You're a much better golfer than me.
Yeah. 55 feels old, but, and Teddy, you'll start to realize this because, you know, you still have a young son. When you look, you know, me being 55 is old, but me having a 23-year-old daughter, that's very old. Oh, she's back. Thank you. Carmine, let's get into it, brother. I put you on the birthday show because, well, you are one of my best friends in the whole world. There is a NHL game going tonight. I'm going to give out my actual client play after your segment. Florida Panthers at New York Rangers. Where are we going here?
Andrew and I covered this one this morning on Puck Time. So if you missed it, you can find it on the WagerTalk platform, a big comprehensive breakdown of that series. This is one where you look at the opening line on this one, and the Rangers are President's Trophy winners. And I get it. President's Trophy winners normally don't win the Stanley Cup, but this isn't the Stanley Cup. This is the conference finals. And while they're favored to win the conference finals, they are underdogs in this game. Florida's taking a little bit of money, minus 115 to minus 105 for the Rangers. And it's a little bit of a surprise. I get that Florida's been a phenomenal team that had a great run last year, and they built a base on what it takes to get to the Stanley Cup finals again. But this is, I think, by far their toughest challenge against the New York Rangers. So a very good Rangers team. They play extremely well at home. They only lost 11 games at home during the regular season, a 1 in the playoffs. They're 4-1 at home in the playoffs. And that loss came in their most recent game at home before they closed it out in Carolina. They're 11-0 during the regular season in the next home game after a home loss. They just don't lose games at home, and they don't lose consecutive games at home. They're back game one. You know, Madison Square Gardens is going to be hopping in this one. The thing about home ice, and I wanted to mention this one to you guys, is home ice thus far in the playoffs I'm not going to say it's meant nothing, but the numbers just don't back it up. Home teams are 31-38 this season in 69 playoff games thus far in the playoffs. 22-22 in the first round, 9-16 in the second round, and it's because the matchups get that much tougher. This is a tough one in a series. Lawrence, I think, is going to go at least six games, if not seven. And you can take that prop of the series to go 6 games, the series to go 7, and you can get plus 205 on each one. You can find them at different books. And if it does go 6 or 7 games, you lock in a profit essentially at even money plus 105. And that's what I did earlier. And that's one I like. I'm going to take the Rangers here. As good as this Florida team has been, and they're one of my favorites. I love the way they play. I just think that the Rangers at home, Shesterkin in goal, they had the advantage as far as goaltending goes. Florida's a team that takes penalties and have done so in the playoffs. They're the second most penalized team during the regular season. And if they take penalties, then New York Rangers power play has been very good in the playoffs this season. I just think a little disrespect for the Rangers here, Prez. And I'm going to go one further for you, Prez. I'm not sure if you know this, but the lines for the Stanley Cup are out. And in any of the matchups that are possible, Florida's favored over Dallas or Edmonton, and the Rangers are underdogs to both Dallas and Edmonton. That's a lot of disrespect for Ranger fans and that Rangers franchise.
So we had Arthur DeCesar on the show yesterday, Carmine, and Art DeCesar said basically what you're saying. There's no respect for the Rangers in the betting markets. Prez was on talking with Art, saying, "Why are the Rangers so undervalued? Why is New York the dog in the series? Why is New York the dog? Everybody that we talk to is saying the Rangers are the better team, yada yada yada, and yet the markets are saying no, they ain't. So what are the pundits seeing that the markets are disagreeing with right now when it comes to the Florida Panthers?"
Well, I think you look at this Florida Panthers team, and last year they were up against it. They were pretty much road dog. A road team in every playoff series that they played, and they played playoff hockey during the last month, of the regular season to get into the playoffs. But they went on a phenomenal run. They beat Boston, they beat Toronto, they beat Carolina. They got to the finals. And at that point, they were a banged-up team. Vegas rolled them, and I'm not saying even without the injuries, Teddy, that Vegas wouldn't have beaten them in the Stanley Cup Finals. But I think they have the playoff experience right now. If you look at the biometrics on which team is younger, there's not much difference in it. 28.9 to 29 for Florida as far as ages of the players on the team. It's the playoff experience. The Florida Panthers have it. They made that run last season to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. They know what it takes. And they're a team, unlike any other team, I think, in the playoffs, other than maybe the Dallas Stars, who can win a game, a fast-paced game, and win a 6-3 game, but they can also play a 2-1 game that's 1-1, goes to overtime. They are a multifaceted team that can win any way needed. And I'm not sure the Rangers are that same type of team. Rangers over the last couple of years have been a team that struggled to score, but good defense and a phenomenal goalie has gotten them as far as they've gotten. If they go dry as far as scoring in this series, then Florida's going to beat them. So those are a couple of points, I think, on why Florida is the game one favorite. And as far as the series goes, the Rangers are favored, but it's essentially a coin flip in the markets.
Carmine Bianco joining us. Carm, let's look at some soccer. Atalanta playing the undefeated Bayer Leverkusen. Is that true? 51 games now?
Yep.
They haven't lost in 51 games?
51 games, Bayer Leverkusen. You have to go back a calendar year, almost a calendar year, May 27th, the final game of the Bundesliga season, where they lost to VfL Bochum in the final game, which was a meaningless game. They have not lost a game in all competitions since then, and they're just playing phenomenal. They won the Bundesliga, unseating Bayern Munich, who win it each and every year. I think they won it 11 or 12 seasons in a row. They win it. Their coach, Xabi Alonso, has done a phenomenal turnaround with this team, and they're not a team of stars. There's very good players, but they're not a team that has like a Harry Kane or Kylian Mbappe or even though he's not there, Lionel Messi, Lawrence Pressman. Yes, they're a team that just plays as a team. They're phenomenal, and he's taught this team to play tactical. And they have 2 games left. They have this one that goes today at 3 p.m. In Ireland at Dublin Arena. I wonder if Kevin Dolan will be there. I hope he is. And then next weekend, they play the final of the German Cup against a team from the Bundesliga 2, Kaiserslautern. So, and one that they'll be favored in, a higher favorite than they are in this game, because here they're only minus 124. The draw's plus 276. And Atalanta is plus 339. Kudos on pronouncing that correctly, Prez. The total here is at 2.5. And I know a lot of people are leaning to the over, but this Atalanta team have been playing extremely well. They had a much tougher draw to get here. They had to play Sporting from Portugal, a very good team. Liverpool. They went to Liverpool and beat Liverpool 3-0. And then they played Marseille, a team from France's Ligue 1. Leverkusen, a little easier road to the finals here. Qarabag, West Ham, and AS Roma from Italy as well, too. But it's tough to get in front of a team that's won 51 straight games. You remember the the years of Arsenal when they had the Invincibles, and that's what Bayer Leverkusen play. I'm not going to stand in front of a team and say this is when they lose. The one caveat to this is that obviously this game could end in a draw and it'll go to extra time and penalty kicks. So books will grade your play based on 90 minutes plus any injury time. You can take Bayer Leverkusen to lift the trophy if you think and that includes extra time and penalty kicks, but you have to lay minus 200 on that one. You could split a unit between both those plays, but Bayer Leverkusen are definitely the player.
Carmine Bianco, what do you have to promote, my friend? What's going on over at WagerTalk.com for you today?
Yeah, well, I just gave you my client play in Europa League, so I'll be watching that with you guys if you decide to follow along on Bayer Leverkusen minus 124. An NHL 2-pack up for game 1. None of those plays were mentioned on this show. And then I have a 5% play up in the NHL tomorrow as well, too, in game 1 between the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. And there's that great deal. Wager Talk has extended it over from Sports Memo to Wager Talk. By the month of June, get the rest of May for free. I'm going to have a ton of plays, obviously, Champions League, Europa League, 2 big summer tournaments, Copa America coming to the U.S. for the first time, Argentina, Brazil, all those other teams as well, too. And the Euros 2024. I'm heading to Vegas to watch the Euros again. We'll see if the Italians can defend the crown. It's going to be a little tougher this season. But those 2 tournaments start in June. You get those along with hockey and baseball as well.
Thank you, Carm. Wonderful stuff. What a fun show. Lots of love. Thank you, everybody. We did get over 100 likes. We're going to have a daily presidential address. Daniel's son, you have nothing to do, but I like saying it. Cue it up. Okay, everybody, I'm Lawrence Presman, Wager Talk. See that lady right there? That's my mom. Anyway, it's my birthday. I'm 55 years old. I got 3 bets for you guys for the NHL Conference Finals. I'm going to give out all 3 on the show. One of them is my actual client bet for tonight. Before we get into that, I want to make mention my NBA is insane. I won again last night. I've now won 14 out of 15 straight NBA games. I'm on a 14-1 NBA run. I'm also on a 17-2 4% run, and I have a 4% NBA play going up for my clients tonight. I also have 1 NHL play, which I'm about to give out, and 2 baseball plays. Instead of buying my package tonight, please use the promo code BDAY55. You get 7-day all-access pass for only $55. 1 day of plays is $29. Take advantage of that. I'm killing it, and I'm up huge profit since January 1st this year. So really, if you're ever going to bet my plays, this is the week. B-Day 55. Okay, 3 bets for tonight. My client bet right off the bat. I have a 2% play on the New York Rangers tonight. I don't understand this line. I think the New York Rangers are the best team in the East. I've thought that all year. I think they're better than Florida. I think they're going to win tonight. Not only do I think they're going to win tonight, I think they're going to win the series. My second play is the New York Rangers plus 125 to win the series. I don't understand how this team is a dog in the series. It makes no sense to me. I think a pick 'em maybe, but a dog? This team is loaded with talent. Now I get Barkov, Bennett, Reinhart, Kachuk, Bobrovsky. I get that the Florida Panthers are a good team. Obviously, they're down to the last 4 teams, and they're one of them. This New York Rangers team is better. They have home ice advantage. Take them at plus 125 to win the series. And the last play, in keeping with the Eastern Conference Finals, plus 200, this series goes to Game 7. I think that's a phenomenal bet. Double your money if we get to Game 7 makes so much sense to me. So to recap, we're taking the New York Rangers tonight. We're taking the New York Rangers in the series at plus 125. And we're taking the New York Rangers and Florida Panthers to go to Game 7 at plus 200. I'm Lawrence Presman. That's my wife. We'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Teddy, take us home.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the Wednesday edition, for the Lawrence's birthday edition of Wager Talk Today. Like you said, we'll do it again tomorrow. Your Sports Central for Gamblers, live each and every weekday, 9 a.m. on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your bets.